Dungeon Master Hotline, how can I help you?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me all right?
I hear you just fine. What's up?
Hi. So I'm a player.
Oh, player hotline. Okay, let's do it.
Uh, this isn't necessarily about me. It's about what another player did and how I felt about it, and I'm sure how to move on.
Okay, Vince, hit me. What'd they do?
Okay. So long story short, we're in this campaign. We encountered a monster with a charm ability that's basically like a dominate person, so they can issue a command, and the whoever's charmed have to follow. So step player's character got charmed and was given the command, take care of your friends. Now, that's kind of a vague command, and I believe like part of the fun for uh, these kind of effects is to like how do you interpret that. But what this player did was he interpreted as, you know, being hostile to the party, which I can respect that is a choice. Like you can interpret both ways.
Okay, so you're
It's
okay with the interpretation?
yes, that like it's an interpretation, so I have no problem with that. But what
Okay,
he did was he proceeded to spend all of the resources basically casting harmful spells, like he inflict wound. One of us, he fireballed the whole party. He twin spelled guiding bolt, and like it was almost a TPK at one point. And when it all and we thankfully we all got away, nobody died. Uh, uh, After that, uh, he also got upset when our characters understandably begin to not trust his character because of what happened. And he also got upset when we say like let's keep the adventuring day going and not immediately rest because we all healed up. He say, "Oh, I've used all of my resources, and I would like a long rest." So, like my problem with it is that I can respect the interpretation of the command being, harmful towards the party,
okay,
but I my issue lies in the fact that he basically used everything against the party,
okay.
and after the fact also being upset that he's now out of resources and we have to keep the adventuring day going.
Interesting. All right. So just to be clear, your problem wasn't that he interpreted the command to kill the party. Your problem was that they didn't hold anything back when they were fighting the party.
My problem is with that, but it's also his attitude afterwards. Like if it was a for role play, I can understand that, but when we like also responded to it that to his actions being like because we have a few character who's like not that trusting, and when the other players acted to not trust him after he essentially almost TPK'd us,
Mm-hmm.
he also got upset and say, "Oh, that was a charm. Like I like what am I supposed to do?" And like since you guys haven't died, like I'm like you 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 shouldn't mistrust us. And I think that felt weird to me, and I'm not sure how to like I guess like I'm not sure what to do about it.
Interesting. All right. Let's try some empathy then. So let's say you got dominated, and
hmm
the command was to kill the party.
hmm
What do you do? What does that look like when it happens to you?
Well, if the command is explicitly kill the party,
Mm-hmm. We already established that you were okay with the interpretation. So I want
yes,
to. So we're going to
I'm okay with
eliminate.
the interpretation.
We're going to eliminate the
Uh,
interpretation from our hypothetical and just say your
mhm.
command is to kill the party.
My if my command is to kill the party, what my character will do is pull out a dagger, which he isn't even like proficient with, and begin stabbing. It's killing. It's a method of killing. If I were to,
So you wouldn't use any resource. You wouldn't use. You wouldn't cast a spell or use any of your class features. So what class are you? Let me ask that first.
I'm playing a wizard
Wizard. You would. So as a wizard, you were given the command to kill the party. You would pull out a dagger. You wouldn't cast spells. You wouldn't even use cantrips.
because I will use cantrip actually
Okay.
because my wizard doesn't have explicitly offensive spells. They're mostly a utility slash controller caster. So at most, I will probably drop a hypnotic pattern, but I wouldn't fireball, and I wouldn't use all resources to kill the party. If I'm exclusively given the command kill the party, then that's what I would do. I would spam cantrips and maybe grapple and maybe throw myself in front of the fighter and hit them with a dagger,
Okay.
because that's what I'm being told to do. And yeah,
Go ahead.
yes. Uh, I guess the other thing that I had issue with it is that it's basically his attitude afterwards, because throughout the whole thing, he was also kind of enjoying himself, kind of. I honestly, I can't say for him, but that's the vibe I got. I might be wrong. Uh, and I also don't like the idea that he got upset at our players and our characters not like trusting him afterwards.
I. All right. Let's take this one at a time.
Hmm.
What would the command look like for you to use all of your resources? So let's say you do have offensive spells prepared, or you can use them as an example. What would the command have to look like for you to?
If the command is something like kill your friends at all costs necessary,
Okay, so you think
or
that
something like kill your friends with all that you've got.
okay, so you want it to explicit, so you want it to be explicit
Yes.
that they have
And
to use all their resources.
yes. And it's especially, it feels weird to me, especially because the command of the charm was deliberately being very vague. So there is definitely breathing room in there to say, oh, taking care of your friends. It could mean anything. It could mean literally taking care of them, or it can mean taking care of in like a hostile way. But
Okay.
that's why dominate person is like very punctual about it, right? It's like they can do anything that you've said, but you have to like command them exactly.
Are you sure it was dominate and not like suggestion or
It's
gesh?
not a it's not a spell. It's a charm effect.
Okay. Because
That's
dominate
kind
basically says, give me your character sheet. I'm playing this now. Dominate is about as enchantment as you can get. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess that's the way you can play it. But here's the thing though, the DM didn't ask him to hand over his character sheet, so he
Right.
technically still have
I should hope not.
control.
I should hope not. I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
So it's
so
it's like the issue I find with that is that while having full control of his character sheet and have a vague command, he decided to go all out with the party. That's what I'm finding issue with, I guess.
okay. um, did the DM say anything about? Did the DM comment on this? Comment on
The
this at
DM
all?
the DM commented on how he didn't expect the monsters to have such a powerful feature, which I don't think is actually what's happening here. But that's just my opinion. But like, yeah, the DM commented that he didn't know that the monster had like such a powerful feature that could have screwed with us. That's yeah, that's what he said. I can tell that he was uncomfortable during like the aftermath when people are being upset, but he tried his best to like move it along and like try to uh amend the situation. But like he didn't say anything about uh, uh said player's actions.
Okay. I understand. PvP is not for everyone. I believe. Now, obviously, I've never played with this DM or with this player, but I believe that the DM put. Well, actually, from what you said, they may not have known what they were getting into. But I'll just say from my own experience, sometimes I will put mechanics into the game for players to have a PvP combat like that. And I wouldn't necessarily get upset if they used all of their resources. As a matter of fact, I feel like it makes the fight more interesting, like being able to see what your character can do against the party. But that's not for everyone. It's clearly not what you were looking for. So the explicitly having to say at all costs, that's fine. That is, I suppose that's a reasonable request. Not trusting the character after, I'm assuming the other characters know that they were charmed. Like, we're not talking about players, right? We're talking about in game, the characters no longer trust this player.
Yes.
I think that is unfair. I think that's toxic, in general. Because it feels like they are metagaming a punishment for a misinterpretation of. The reason I say it's a metagame misinterpretation is because the command was given and they interpreted it as use all of my abilities. And now the players are like, well, because you did that, now we don't trust you, even though you're not enchanted anymore, or we're assuming you're not enchanted anymore. So that feels like an unnecessary punishment. Or that feel, what's the word? Punitive. Sounds punitive.
I see.
So
we were using the information that our character would otherwise not know to judge him as a player.
Yeah, because that player made a mechanical interpretation by saying, okay, I am now under the effects of this enchantment spell and I need to use all of my resources with that. Like, that was clearly that player's interpretation.
Yes.
And I don't think it's an unreasonable interpretation. That would be a conversation for them. Like, did you really think that you were supposed to burn every spell slot into that? Or like, could you at least just, but at the same time, I want you to acknowledge the fact that your position is, I think you should have gone easier on it. I think you should have gone easy on us because the enchantment wasn't explicit. So I could definitely see both sides of that. So that's something to think about. But I 100% think that it's unfair to continue to punish the player after the fact. That would be a conversation. So my advice for that would be, have a conversation with that player. Like, hey, I didn't like how this was handled. And DM, I did not like how this was handled. And then just end it there out of character. I definitely wouldn't drag it in character, because if you take it in character and now like the party doesn't trust them, at some point it's going to be like, why do I even show up to this? Why do I even want to play in this game? Like, I can't even play my character. Nobody wants to play with me. And it just kind of, alienating them at the very least. So that sounds rough.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah. So just give that some thought. Sit on it. Maybe have a conversation with them about it. Mm-hmm. Have you talked? I don't even think I asked that. Have you talked to them about it?
Not yet. I was really unsure about how I should feel about
okay.
it. So I've refrained from talking about it when I'm like emotionally charged, because I think I am quite kind of biased in the situation because I'm on the receiving end of it.
Absolutely.
I kind of want to make sure I have like a straight mindset before I go into it.
Okay. Yeah. So my advice for when you decide to sit down, cut them some slack, You don't need to, just be open with the fact that, like, hey, I didn't like how you interpreted that, or not even that. I don't like how you decided to burn all of the resources and you kind of brought us down, and I'm having a hard time like recovering, mentally from that. I'm like really frustrated about how that went.
The silver lining in this story is that when my character almost died, he did roll a nat 20 to get on the death save, got back, and had a pretty good role playing moment. So if there's a silver lining, that's it.
Absolutely. Well, and nobody died, so that's fortunate.
Well, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
That's all I have.
You have a good one, bud.